The next part of today's video lecture is actually optional, and it's based on my experience at Alibris. As I was preparing for this lecture, many things in this chapter relate very closely to something I did when we were at Alibris. So I'm going to share that with you because I hope it's interesting to you, because it is based on economics, and we did some things at Alibris that were a bit unique and perhaps even innovative, but they, in the long run, are tied to economics. So we'll go into this next. Alibris was a company that I helped start back in 1998, and they were in the business of selling used books on the internet, getting dealers that had used books for sale to upload their information such that Alibris can then offer those in multiple venues to sell those books on behalf of the vendor. And that could be on the Alibris website itself, could be to Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or it could be to the sellers of books to library systems, which are a very specialized market and industry. Or it could be to wholesale operations. So Alibris was in the business of connecting people with books to people that want books, and that's what the business was. When we first started the business, we already had the idea that we wanted to make Alibris a great place to work. This was one of the founding principles that got me attracted to quit my job and my contracting at the time to join and help Alibris get built. The company culture, we did some very specific things. We wanted transparency as communicated by weekly meetings on Friday, where we would describe what's happening in the business without really hiding anything, down to failures or cash crises that we're trying to deal with. And we also highlighted individuals in the firm to have them tell stories that might be of interest to the rest of the company. And we wanted to make sure that we always had people from all levels of the company do these updates, and many of them were quite fun. And we had bagels and juice, nothing expensive, just to have some time where we can reflect what happened during the week. We also had more business-oriented quarterly offsites where we discussed the major decisions we made, often about technology. Which projects did we decide we're going to fund and approve for the coming quarter? And we would celebrate the successes on what we call the blue sheet. And the blue sheet is a set of items that we did monthly, and we would celebrate monthly and quarterly the accomplishment of the blue sheet items. And they're short-term, tangible milestones that are throughout the company in different departments. And next was the open environment. We were in a very cool building. It's called a sawtooth industrial building. Sawtooth because they had windows on the vertical side and then in a slope, and you may have seen these. The purpose of that type of design is those windows are such that light comes in with I think it faces north, so that light comes in all day without the bearing sun that comes upon us, and that allowed for natural light. In fact, during the days, in most of the time of the year, we would not even turn the lights on because the light that was all natural. It led to a whole different feel in the environment. We also allowed pets, if they were well behaved, to sit in the cubicles or even wander a little bit and visit other people in the company. So we had a few dogs, and I don't remember a cat, but they were permissible, that would be in the office, and that created a calming and a friendly environment. Compensation. We had stock options for all employees. Of course, the more senior the position, the more stock options. And we paid market rate for people. We didn't try to beat the market by underpaying people and things like that. And I think that's an obvious thing we would do because we paid market. The market does work quite well when we're at initial hiring. But we also did something unusual. It's that at every year when we reviewed the performance and the compensation of employees, the VP of HR did an analysis of what's the market value of that person's role in the company. And I recall vividly, we had a young techie who didn't have any experience or very little, and really improved himself over the year, taking classes in database administration and taking on more and more tasks, so that if we were to replace this person, we would have had to pay a much higher rate because he was a star. And we could have taken advantage of this person, like I believe many companies would do, perhaps even most companies would do, and not give a big raise. But we gave this young man a raise, I think from like 60,000 to 90,000, because he had become a certified database administrator. that it warranted that kind of compensation. And you can imagine how happy this person was. Not only was he enjoying his work, building some very good career skills, but also was recognized as such and paid what he was worth. We're often not paid what we're worth because of many reasons that employers may take advantage on their employees. But we made that happen. And that ripples through the company, that the company will not take advantage of you. If you're worth a lot more, they don't want to lose you over some glass of beer at a Thursday night meetup, right? So that was a philosophy of the firm. Bonuses. We had bonuses that were determined. We had a target bonus for people, and 50% was company derived based on our shared goals. They could be profits, revenue, etc. In early years, it was not profit. We were losing money, but they were on some very tangible, measurable financial and company goals. Next, 50% on personal. These could be things that are developmental, that are directly bearing to the company, like getting a database administration certificate, or it could be taking acting lessons. I remember we had this older woman who joined us, and she was a fantastic worker, but she was very shy and lacked confidence. So we paid for her to go take acting lessons just in the community college. And she did it, and all of a sudden she stood up more proudly, and we actually had her speak at a Friday event, and she had one of the best quotes we ever had. She was in customer service, and she says, "We had a very interesting return of a book this week, and the reason for the return was the book was boring." Right? So we had a policy where if for any reason somebody wants to return the book, we'll give full refund. And normally it's the covers not right, or damaged in shipment or something like that. It's rarely like the book was boring. I don't think that's our job to guarantee that books are interesting. But she got up there. I'll still remember, how proud she was to tell her story, and how everyone was amazed at her growing confidence and ability to speak.